very productive summer for us. The new facility, having 120 players here on campus throughout from early June up until fall camp was an added bonus. Anytime you get a chance to start to teach and to work and to hopefully install some things throughout the summer enables us to move at a little quicker pace during fall camp. And I think we've done that so far. We've been very aggressive with our install for the first 7 days. It's fun to watch the light bulbs pop on for some young kids occasionally. And sometimes you see, some frowns on their face too, because it moves a lot faster than it did at high school. But we got a great freshman class. Everyone is still here. I'm very excited about that. They're persevering, they're finding ways. But our veterans, we have 20 guys that I'm considering seniors right now, and they have done an excellent job of leadership, not only just between the lines, but in the locker room, in the meeting rooms, in the dining center. Just a different vibe right now, a positive vibe. Great energy, great learning. Our coaches are doing an outstanding job, and so really excited about what this fall camp is going to allow us to do. We got to continue to stack great days on top of each other, and that'll lead up to September 2nd. And that's the only one that we're really worried about at this time right now. We've had numerous different names pop up at different times during fall camp. Offensive line-wise, Hunter Pontius, Jake Rock, got to continue to develop. They're doing a really good job. Always fun to when you see injured players get to come back and be at full speed. And so you see Jalen Sundell, playing tackle, playing center at different times throughout practice. What an added bonus for us. You move back to the running back room and seeing a healthy Tamarick Williams. Last year he started a little bit banged up early, took till mid-season to get kind of into playing shape, and his leadership. You would never have if you just met him today or came in off the street and talked to Tamarick, you thought he'd been here his full career. And I think that says a lot about our locker room and our team to accept someone like him, but then also to, for him to immerse himself into what Bison Pride is and what the traditions are that surround our program. Quarterback position, Cam has continued to do an excellent job. Challenged him preseason to, become more of that coach on the field. What do you like on third down? What do you like in the pass game? Where can we take it? What are you seeing in the film study that you go through, throughout the majority of your day? And, just trying to take it to another level. And he's shown great maturity. He's shown great poise and leadership throughout, the first 7 days. And that's all I can go off of right now. Cole continues to do really good things. We got to find ways to utilize him at some point. It was funny. I'm gonna sidetrack here. Coach Hager was here during fall camp and brought up that while he was the head football coach, every third series of the first and second half, he played the backup quarterback. And I was going back to the 80s and 90s, and I'm like, Coach, I appreciate you telling me that. So, unique insight when you bring back people like that. Sometimes you need to talk to the old school or the good school people, and Coach Hager's one of those guys. At the wide receiver position, probably as deep a room as we've ever had. You talk about outside and inside receivers, guys that have multi roles. Tyler Terhart, one of those young men that we put on scholarship this fall camp. Great little story that we can dive into maybe after the press conference, but how we presented it to him. But Zach Mathis still doing great things. Rajah Nelson has increased flexibility in what his role can be. Chris Harris, Braylon Henderson, Makai Collins, Cedric Wall. I can continue. Carson Hegerly has shown some really things on the field. So it's exciting for that room. And those guys are all going to help us on special teams too. So having multiple roles and being willing to grasp those roles has been pretty special this year. I think our team realizes there's no job too big or too small right now. And if I need to be on special teams, Coach, well, I'm going to be on special teams. Defensively, we make a lot of guys coming back for, isn't it great to have Eli Mostart back? Well, of course it is. Anytime you get an All-American caliber player back on your roster who's 100%, what a bonus. But one of the byproducts of injury sometimes is guys like Jackson Dutenheffer and Cody Heisman, Will Mostart, Javier Darrett, Logan Larson. Think of the development that those guys had because they just got thrown into the fire after that injury took place. Well, good for us. They're all coming back. And we really feel like we have 5 or 6 D linemen that can play. Keenan Wilson, true freshman, plays with unbelievable pad level, has really stood out so far in fall camp as a first-year player that I think might have an opportunity to help us in at least the 4-game rule. You go back to linebacker, Luke Wirtz, Nick Kubitz, both doing an excellent job right now. Logan Kopp, a young player who got a lot of accolades last year, has kind of picked up from where he left off. Just sudden, has great instinct, is always around the football. And if you measure the value of a player from his distance to the ball, he's extremely valuable to us right now. At the outside linebacker spot, this is a place where I have probably got the most excitement. Julian Ledarsic has really pushed himself, has really kind of elevated his play, not only special teams wise, but at that spot. And I'm super excited about him and Oscar Benson right now. Both those guys, Oscar from just right up the road in Hillsboro, Julian from Chicago. Really excited about what I'm seeing on the field and the consistency and getting a little bit better every day. The one injury that we've had that's going to take someone off the field, Enoch Sibomana, during a team period the other day, came down on his ankle wrong, defending a pass, making a great play. It was an unbelievable play. And minus the injury, you'd be like, yeah, this young man is about ready to help us. And unfortunately, he broke the fibula, the non-weight-bearing bone in his leg. And so we'll take that day by day. Had surgery this morning and is doing well. I know he's already back home, and the doctors and our medical people do an outstanding job. All of those people associated with Sanford. So thank you to those people getting him in quickly. But tough to deal with. You put all that, football's different. And I'm going to get on my soapbox here real quick, but basketball, baseball, you play double headers, you go to tournaments. If you're not a pitcher, you're anything but a pitcher, you can play every day of the week. Basketball, you play every day of the week. Volleyball, you can play every day of the week. Football, because of the physical nature of the game, you're guaranteed 11 games, and you have to train 354 days a year to get ready for them. And all of a sudden, when a young man loses those 11 games and feels like that he's lost all that work, that's tough. That's the part of the game that makes you sick. But he has a great football family that surrounds him. I know he's going to get loved up on by his coaches and his teammates, so he's going to come back better than ever. In the back end, that's one of the positions where we have some question marks. But I think the question marks aren't because of athleticism, it's just inexperience. We have some tremendous athletes back there. You talk about Darius Givens, young man from Champlin Park, has really started to elevate his play. Cole Wisniewski. Cole was an outstanding linebacker. I think he had some accolades as a linebacker maybe in 2020 and has done some things physically. He was 235, 220 now. Buying into this, enjoying playing safety for us. We need, as coaches, we got to be creative. How do we get our best 11 on the field, but also got to find ways to use your best 12, 15, 14, whatever it might be. And so Sam Young, another young man from Neenah, Wisconsin, has really played well. And so Jalen Crumby, true freshman from Arrowwood High School in just kind of the east side of Tampa, has really shown some good things too. So, and then at the corner position, Marcus Shepard, Mr. Competitive. Jaden Price, JP, has been the ultimate leader of that group. He is the leader of the back end right now in my mind. If he says jump, they're all jumping. They trust him. They believe him. His role on special teams has only created, more value for him. He's going to be a tremendous returner for us. But it's the leadership thing that is something that I hadn't seen necessarily. And sometimes guys just need an opportunity. They need encouragement to take that leadership, and he's done that really well. And so excited for him. Another true freshman that could potentially help us. Familiar last name, Najee Nelson, true freshman out of Lakeville North, brother to Rajah Nelson, has been really good at the corner position right now. And as you guys know, we've had to play some freshman corners in big games in the past, and not what we'd like to do, a little atypical, but I know Coach Walker is working his tail off to get him up to speed. Chase Nixon, transfer in from California, has done a nice job transitioning into it. Everything's brand new for him. And so we just need, the routine is good right now in fall camp. But I've gone on long enough. What questions do you guys have?
Talking about the defensive backfield, how difficult as a head coach has that been, through the spring, summer, trying to find where those guys are going to be when you have to replace that many spots on a depth chart? What's that whole process been like for you as a coach?
Well, it starts in the meeting room. It starts in spring ball. Having the 15 practices that we have are instrumental of being able to identify. But it starts even in off-season running. Who has the movement skills necessary to potentially be a corner, a boundary safety versus a field safety, a field corner versus a boundary corner? We may have to be really specific on where we put people this year, but that specificity that we have right now will hopefully lead us to a year from now we can play right and left. But we got to put people where their skill set are best going to fit them. During the summer, captains' practices, getting a greater understanding of the defense, and just repetition. I mean, how do you get better at anything? You just got to continue to do it and do it until you can't get it wrong. And that's what we're in the process of trying to do right now.
Leaning on Cam a little bit more and giving him more of a role. What do you hope that that's going to do for him going into this next season?
Just comfort level. He's extremely efficient with the ball, but just knowing the offense like the back of his hand. So when he gets out there, he can get us in and out of protections. He can get us in and out of maybe calls. Hey, if they give us this, we want to get to this, vice versa. And if there's access throws that are available, don't be afraid to rip it out there and put the ball in one of our playmakers' hands and give them an opportunity to gain some yards on the perimeter.
With T.K. Marshall and Tamarick being kind of the more experienced backs, how do you see Barika Penu fitting into that mix, and what do you like about him that you've seen so far?
He's going to fit in big time. Tremendous football player. And I think you're going to see a heavy dose of the three backs right there. I think you'll probably see some guys average 10 carries a game or so. But he has a better understanding of protections, which makes him now a three-down back, which allows more opportunities for him. He has good hands. He's going to help us on special teams as well. And so I think there's going to be a huge role for Barika, and I'm excited because he has some explosiveness. He can make you miss. But he has that unique combination of speed and strength. And not all backs are blessed with that.
Does he bring something maybe different than Tamarick or TK in his running style, or are they is he kind of similar to
I think they all have a little bit of similarities, but he does have some explosiveness, shiftiness that he can make people miss in a tight window.
Matt, can you describe your defensive line? You've added some players there through the portal, Zen and Wirtz brothers.
Sure.
What kind of depth you have there, and can you get to the spot where traditionally you're playing 7-8 guys if you want to?
Well, I'm going to answer your last question first. I think we can get there where we're playing 7, 8, 9 different players during the course of a game. Some of them are going to be situational, of course. Having a healthy Shaka Rokes back is a huge addition to us. You guys don't see it as much as I do, but Shaka Rokes' personality is probably as important as his playing on the field. Has a great relationship with every single person on this football team. Knows when to have a good time with his teammates. And I think that we need that in our locker room right now. But he also knows when it's time to get going. But so his impact's greater than just the reps he's going to take. Hunter's done a really good job. He reminds me, and again, I hate to compare because we've fallen trapped to that usually in this world, is he reminds me of a young Braden Thomas. Got a young man who transferred in, didn't necessarily know everything to a T, but because of his effort and his energy he played with, he made up for it. And that's what I see out of Hunter right now. Same thing out of Mojo. Mojo was an all-conference, all-state defensive end as a junior at Batavia High School. Those of you who don't, Batavia is one of the best, I want to say either 6 or 7A high schools in the state of Illinois, routinely, playing for state championships and do a great job. Kind of a small college feel to it. And Mojo he is as physical a kid as we have out there. Now, the game needs to slow down because he's playing a new position, but I got to believe non-conference, early conference year, things are going to catch up. He's a sharp kid and understands the game. Just new position slows him down. Having Jake Cava back, big-time leader. Jake is not taking anything for granted. I think, sometimes another byproduct of being injured is you realize how important it is to you. And Jake Bison football is important to Jake Cava. And so it's good to have him back and good to be a leader in that room. And you see the the mentoring that he's putting forth in some of our young guys, and Abe Myers and Vic Isley and all those guys.
To have two coaches on the defensive line, how important is that to have it back now with Coach Phelps there?
You know, Coach Gazer did an outstanding job last year, taking the whole defensive line. But it is good. Coach Phelps has been a tremendous addition to the program. You know, anytime you have someone who comes in from the outside, I first met him when he was at Minnesota, then he was at Washington State, then he was at Mississippi State. He was at Northern Illinois with Coach Kill, who I have great respect for. It's someone to see the program through a different lens. And it's always, you know, trying to stop by his office and not bother him, but just, hey, what do you think of our fall camp? What do you not like? What is new that maybe you do like? You know, I think for me to get feedback is critical as well.
Speaking of coaches, you got a new defensive coordinator in. How is Petrino adjusting? What changes is he bringing to the defense?
Well, you know, he's done an excellent job. Jason, have known him for years. He's a split safety defensive guy. That's what he likes. That's what I like. That's what I like. He has done an excellent job of learning what we've done here and about Code Green. Play hard, play fast, play together. He has bought into that. And I challenged him that when he first got here. That I remember in January 2014, I had all these great ideas, and they all went to the back burner because I needed to just figure out what we were doing here and make sure that what you want to do needs to fit your personality and fit the personnel that you have on the team. And he's done a really good job. There's going to be some subtle changes. Nothing glaring that I think, you know, our fan base will see, but maybe a different pressure here or there on a third down, a situation, things that he's noticed, how we can pick on protections, how we can change the picture for the quarterback pre-snap, I think are good. He's done a great job of creating continuity within the defensive room, and I'm excited about the product we're going to put on the field.
You've mentioned a good number of guys, you know, stepping up in a big way in positions where you've needed them to.
Mm-hmm.
What's it been like for you as a coach through the spring, summer, now in the fall camp, seeing those guys step up when you needed them to?
Well, I'm super excited about what our staff has done because they're the ones that have more interaction on an individual basis than I do with all of our players. Of course, Jim Kramer and his staff have a huge role in this. You can never minimize the confidence that's developed in the weight room with Coach Kramer and on the field when you're running 6 patterns, you know, at the end of the summer. You know, I think when our kids finish that last workout, they think they can play anybody, anywhere. And I like that. I want them to be confident, but they also know, meaning our players are humble enough that we need to continue to improve. There's areas that we've pointed out, we've analyzed last year, we've broken it down, and now these are the things that we have to improve on moving into the 2023 season. And I've talked about a few of those kind of at length at different times during the year, but we still make a point of them. How are we going to continue to get better? How do we continue to improve on the things that maybe we were deficient at?
What have been your impressions of Cole Wisniewski at the safety spot, and what do you like about what he's been able to do as part of fall camp?
Well, I think he's still learning, but he has great understanding of the game. I think playing that outside linebacker spot probably has accelerated his understanding of what it takes to play safety. He is a sound tackler. He's a big body that we can put into that boundary safety position. Again, same position that Michael Tutsi played, same position that Robbie Grimsley played, Colton Heagle. We've had tremendous success at that position. We need to make sure, though, that what we're calling, what we're playing defensively fits what he does skill set-wise. But from a leadership standpoint, from a movement standpoint, leaning up has helped him dramatically. Being able to range out and be able to play half field, he's got to be able to play the post. He's got to be able to play quarters. We're asking him to do a lot. And so, you know, every day there's a little bit of a new emphasis, and it's exciting to see Cole, you know, embrace that. I mean, it's very seldom do you have the opportunity to have a 6'3", 220-pound safety, but he runs like a deer. He's a sound tackler, and he's super sharp. His football IQ is outstanding.
Coach Stoffel started to really step it up late last year. What kind of growth have you seen from him and expectations this season?
I think he's taken off from where he left off at. I think, you know, with the injuries that we had at tight end last year, we had a situation where he kind of got thrown into the fire. I mean, everything's real nice and easy when you're the third tight end, nice and comfortable, you know, and all of a sudden it became real uncomfortable for him, and he responded very well. I mean, a sign of maturity. He's got an outstanding position coach and Coach Roll. who's going to make sure that he's prepared. But I think he's just kind of continue. The sense of urgency's there. He's helped Finn. He's helped Carson Williams, who I think is going to have a big season for us. Finn and Carson right now battling for that number 2 tight end position, but Joe's going to be a key piece of what we do, especially we get down in the red zone.
You mentioned a couple of freshmen that you might use the core game rule
Yep.
for. Where do you kind of get is the assistants are kind of saying, hey, this guy might be, a guy we could use maybe early in the season. I go, what's kind of the criteria you're looking
Well, you
at?
got to see it on film. Can they, their play on film is just them, rehearsing what they've learned in meetings. And so the more you can see, the faster they can make decisions. You put them in competitive situations. We try to have some live tackling, some one-on-ones where it's the whole team watching individual A versus individual Z. How do they handle? Is it stress or is it pressure? Because those are different. Stress is being negative. All right, we're going to take away from performance. Pressure, that elevates performance. That's the goosebumps that you have before a big game.
We're going to stop right there. Coach, thanks so much for your time.
That's the first time that I've. Thanks. We'll see you guys.
We'll be across the street in the indoor practice facility. We'll get going with players in about 5 or 6 minutes.